Hey there, welcome. Today I'm going to share with you something called the mood meter. This is a great way to recognize and understand your emotions. So the first thing people ask is, well, what is a mood meter? Well, I think you can kind of allude to it. So a mood meter is a way to determine your emotional state. So the mood meter shows that we all have a variety of emotions, and this can range from happy to sad, from stress to encouraged, and it's okay. Emotions are good. They are communication. So all emotions are valid. And this mood meter has four colored quadrants I'm going to show you in a minute. Each quadrant represents the common emotions based on quality and energy level. So let's look at that here. So here we go. These are the four different quadrants. Again, this is the mood meter, and it can be helpful because what this does is shows you from low to high energy, and then it shows you the quality from negative to positive. Now, again, all emotions are valid, but for the sake of this quadrant here, this sort of representation, we're going to talk about negative and positive. So let's look at this for a minute. If we're talking about a low energy emotional state in the negative zone, we're talking about things like despair, loneliness, feeling apathetic or exhausted. And then if we move into the high energy on the negative side, that's being angry and irritated, furious and enraged. So I think you kind of get the idea that an emotional state has a certain quality in our bodies. We sort of feel a certain thing, and some can motivate us, like anger absolutely motivates us sometimes to make changes. When we get upset about something that's going on in our life or even the world, it can motivate us. So the behavior is what we want to pay attention to. The emotion is communicating something. And then let's look at the negative versus to the positive side. The positive low energy is feeling that sense of sereneness. You're feeling more peaceful, grateful, calm. That's the more low energy on the positive side. And then the high energy positive side is ecstatic, motivated, lively. So this is a great way to sort of determine where you're at. Now, again, this is the mood meter. This is talking about emotional states, and it's just a good idea to get comfortable with emotions. This is part of emotional intelligence. This is what a lot of people are talking about. You probably see it in different news feeds about how to create emotional regulation in your life, how to be more emotionally intelligent related to different situations. So here's a couple of different kinds of emotional states. So this, you can check the example, to identify maybe a current emotional state. And I'm going to tell you the difference between emotions and feelings in a minute. That's an important thing to know. So this is just helpful, isn't it? It's helpful to recognize that all your emotions are valid. And for a lot of us, we maybe grew up in a situation where we couldn't really express how we were feeling, or we would express how we were feeling and they got discounted. So come back to this, my friend. Come back to your emotions and let them communicate what's going on. And sometimes, again, when we feel a certain thing, it's because maybe we've been triggered. Something's triggered you to feel that. And when you get a little more introspective around it, you can uncover things that are ready to be healed. This is another thing I love sharing with my clients. This is Robert Plotchicks. Plotchicks is, I think, how you say it. His emotional wheel. He was a psychologist, and he created this for his clients. And I share this, and you can find this online. But you can see that there is the interior emotional, so say the primary emotions of anger, feeling disgusted, sad, happy, surprised, afraid. That's the primary ring. And then you can move into the secondary ring, and you can see that, for instance, sad can relate to despair, depressed, lonely, bored, feeling abandoned, and then sad going into the third level of emotional state, that tertiary ring. So you have the primary, the secondary, and that tertiary. See how sad can move into feelings of feeling vulnerable or victimized or powerless. The same into happy. Happy can go into proud, interested, powerful, peaceful. Happy can move into that third layer of feeling courageous, fulfilled, respected, confident. So look at how intricate and how subtle our emotional states can be. So as you begin to work with this, it just helps. It really helps. So awareness is the precursor to change. And when you're feeling it, when you have an emotion, right? Say you have an emotion of feeling excited. It's the emotion is, there's a quality in the body. So that emotion has a certain quality in the body. And so when we feel, say, excited, for instance, that excited emotion feels like something in the body. For me, I feel more like elevated. I feel sparkly on the inside. I might feel a warm feeling, maybe in my stomach. And then the opposite of, say, feeling sad. Sad has a completely different feeling state in the body. So that's the difference between an emotion and feelings. And people intertwine them, and that's okay too. But just know that each emotional state has a certain a contextual feel. You visualize something, you feel something in your body, you might be saying something to yourself. So it's just, again, another way of getting more and more comfortable with emotions and what they are communicating to you. So the big question is, how are you feeling today? That's where we can go. We can go each day, several times a day, and go, oh, I noticed. Oh, I'm noticing the emotion of anger or frustration coming up. What is anger and frustration trying to tell me? Or I'm feeling super excited. Wow, what is excited telling me? Oh, I'm moving in the direction of what I'm meant to do, or bringing my gifts into the world. Wow, okay, that emotion is communicating that. So how are you feeling today? What emotional state are you noticing is a great way to become more emotionally intelligent. So here you go. Here's some of the practices. First and foremost, notice. Just notice. How are you feeling? Again, feeling that represents an emotional state. What emotion are you experiencing? And then sit with yourself and allow, especially if you're in more of the, quote, negative, low or high energy state on that mood meter. Just sit with yourself. Accept all your emotions. Remember, emotions are communication. They're just communicating something. There's no wrong emotion. It's the behavior that we want to pay attention to based on how we're feeling or what emotion we're experiencing. And then begin to journal. Journaling, writing something down, writing down how you're feeling is very cathartic and actually very healing, because then you can begin to process maybe what's triggering you to feel a certain way. And then rehearse. If you want to respond differently next time, say you had an emotional response to something, here's where the emotional intelligence comes in, and you had a response that you don't want to respond like in the next situation like that, then begin to rehearse, or what's called future pacing. Imagine, okay, here's how I got triggered. Here is how I would like to respond instead. And actually write it down in your journal. Next time when this happens, I'm going to, and then rehearse it in your mind, because our imagination is powerful. In fact, our mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So begin to rehearse that new state, the new behavior that you wish to bring into the world. So again, notice how you're feeling, sit with yourself, be compassionate and loving, accept all the emotions and journal about what's coming up, and then rehearse for something new. And that's it, my friend. That's part of the mood meter, understanding your emotions. I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a kind of a run through, super helpful. This has helped me. I use this over and over and over again, just for myself as I continue to want to improve in my life. And I know you do too. So there you go. Hey, thanks for watching. You can subscribe and turn on notifications, because I am really dedicated to bringing you really good quality stuff, things that create positive, lasting changes in your life. So there you go.